Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Bipolar Bray here, and today I'm bringing you the first official episode of my drifting series. I hope you're ready to get dizzy with me, because this episode is going to have a lot of donuts in it. I truly believe that it is important to focus on the fundamentals when learning something new, so while it might not be flashy, it will give me the right skills to become a good drifter. In this episode, I'm focusing on both car control and throttle control, so let's hop right on into it. Also, this is the airport drift track I mentioned in the last episode. It has a large open area to practice in, as well as some cones set up that you'll see me use frequently. I'll actually head over to some of these cones right now, which are very useful when practicing donuts and figure eights because it gives you a target to aim for. This is my first attempt at a figure eight. Another valuable tool to use when learning how to drift. It teaches you how to properly transition while drifting and keep your momentum. This was actually going better than I expected until I spin out right here. But now I've gone over everything I'm going to practice throughout this episode, so let's keep learning. As I mentioned earlier, there's going to be a lot of donuts in this episode. I've gotten really good at consistently making the donuts small. Now I'm trying to make them bigger and slowly trying to learn how to control where they are going. All of this practice will eventually lead up to me completing my first figure eight someday. For now, I want to try and make my donuts as circular as possible while keeping them sort of in the same area. From time to time, I switch to the other side with the same goal in mind. Sometimes, the car seems to have a mind of its own, but I just let the car go where it wants to, then I try and keep making a donut. I know it's hard to tell, but I'm trying to control the amount of pressure I'm using on the throttle. If I use too much, the car will want to spin out. If I use too little, the car will gain traction and will stop drifting. I'm also using my steering wheel to turn into the donut when I notice it starting to become less of a circle. It's just a small turn in though, otherwise the donut will get too tight and you'll spin out. Right here, I start to get a consistent donut, so I do a few. Then, I try to intentionally transition to the other direction. I don't think I did too bad. Then, after a couple more donuts, I try it again. This became the next step in working towards figure eights. Alright, let's just watch for a little bit. I wanted to point out right here that I felt proud of myself when I was able to control my drift to land on the donuts I was making before. Sometimes it's the little things that matter. Alright, anybody getting dizzy yet? That was just a couple minutes of donuts, but I'm already noticing improvement. Like I said, it's not flashy, but it's the foundation that I can start building upon. It also doesn't mean I'm a master yet. I still make plenty of mistakes. Also, sometimes it helps to experiment. That's why I find this large open area so useful. I can just practice with nothing to worry about. I'm just going to let this footage roll until we get to this next section, which I'll call target practice. I'll let you know when we get there. For now, I'm going to keep spinning. For my target practice, I decided to start trying to control my drifts around a cone, which is harder than it looks. It requires a balance between throttle and steering. If you have too much or too little of either, then it won't be too pretty. I highly recommend practicing donuts around a specific point like this. I did notice that as I was getting my doors or front wheels closer to the cone, it was a lot harder to recover from. I'm still learning how to fix this. As you can see right here, I seem to just zoom past the cone and not be able to recover because I would need such a tight angle. Remember, it's important to practice going in both directions. And even though I don't get my donut around the cone, it's always my goal to end up going around it. It layers in a new challenge of correcting my car's current position, which I was able to do for a little while here. What it takes to learn and eventually master these basics is repetition, so I just keep on practicing in order to get consistent. Sometimes I do better than others. This one felt quite good to perform, even though it didn't last as long as some of the others. One thing I started to notice when drifting around a specific target is that more throttle means the front of your car is going to point towards your target. When you use less throttle, it means the doors will start to face your target, which will end up with your car straightening out and losing the drift. Right here, I used too much throttle, which made my car point past the intended target, which will also mean you lose the drift. For the rest of the video, I try to complete a figure 8 around the cones. Watch as I start to practice these, and maybe you can start to notice when I'm using too much or too little throttle. If you can spot the difference, let me know in the comments below. I feel like I'm starting to get a pretty good grasp on it, but for now, the hardest part for me is keeping my momentum while transitioning. I tend to slow down way too much in the middle part of the 8. I know that with more practice, I'll be able to get better at this. But for now, it's just going to take time experimenting and getting a feel for these new concepts. I hope you all learned something in this video. While I'm no master, I'd still like to help out anyone else who is learning to drift. I know that the tutorials I watched make drifting look way easier than it actually is. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe and drop a like so I know to keep making more of this content. Anyways, I hope you have an awesome day and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.